Hello Aries, it is Rebecca with Empathic Crow Intuitive Services, and I am going to be restarting your reading. Your reading is going to be a bit different than anyone else's for July 2026. Although, as I say, the energy is timeless. I'm just channeling the energy for the sign of Aries, whatever replacement that is for the collective for July 2026. But if you see this any other time, there may be a message for you. So how is your reading different this time than the other readings? Well, I recorded all 12 and was trying to have some fun with this treasure chest that I had gotten from a shop when I got gemstones in Asheville, North Carolina years ago. And so I thought it would be fun to pick the name of the sign out of the boxes once I heard the message. Or whatever came to me, because it's different. It can be songs, it can be messages. I had like a weird, not really weird, but this one-liner for, I think it was it Aquarius maybe? I think it was Aquarius, about a dragonfly and the dragonfly's wings, 111 on the clock. So Aries, unfortunately, your video got deleted, and so I am re-recording that. It is important, but the way I try to look at it is perhaps I don't remember what that message was. I record them and then I upload them. Sometimes I'll remember if something seems to stand out when I'm uploading them, but otherwise I record them in the moment and I don't always remember what I said. So what I take from that, as I was saying, is that Spirit may have said, all right, energy for Aries has changed and we need to do something different. So that's what we're going to do. Now, what was coming to me, Aries, and I will say throat chakra has been very predominant among all of the readings that I've done so far. And I noticed that I put on blue today, a lot of lapis lazuli, so I feel like there's going to be some intuition connection there. I also put on a lot of pyrite, so it's definitely possible that we're also looking at kind of that sacral chakra, and so sacral, throat chakra, third eye, possibly some crown, 222 on the clock. We will just see. Now, what did come to me is this, I was told to get a flame off of my shelf. And at first I went for the Muekite, I may not be saying that correctly, tower that I know that's a polychrome jasper. Yeah. So at first I was going for the polychrome jasper, but I was told to go for the orca agate instead. So this is an orca agate flame. So with that, I think we're going to be looking at some balance of grounding and also connecting with that crown chakra. It's also that duality that we all have within us. Like with this polychrome, I often think of a very earthy feel. That may still be important, we'll see, but Spirit was very adamant that I focus on the orca agate flame. That flame, we may have some wands coming out. I did like the candle, but it just feels like this is still a fiery energy, which Aries, I just realized you are a fire sign, so that would make sense. So where are we starting, Spirit? Spirit says for me to start with a clear, cleansing breath. Let me do that, because it sounds like communication is already starting to come in. If you would like to take one with me, you can. This is a general reading. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Personal reads are always going to be more accurate because it is tapping into your energy with your permission. I do live sessions. Oh, I'm getting a ringing in my ear. I do live sessions, and I also do recorded sessions where I can record your reading and send it to you. So record like this. Whew. Okay. So communication, not only your communication, but communication with your spirit team, which may even include starseeds, because usually when I get the ringing in my ears, that's a starseed connection, but we will see. All right, deep breath. Seeing a lot of deep red root chakra, and then in that is the indigo third eye, and it's coming together with this violet in between, so crown chakra. So yeah, this feels like a balancing of all of those chakras, but with a very big emphasis on grounding, throat chakra, third eye, and connection. So let's see where we're going. I'm feeling called to the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. Smith is the artist. and we will see where we go from there. So Aries, I hope you are doing well. Let's see what Spirit has. The energy is definitely different. Like I said, I don't remember what all was in the reading. A lot of the Zodiac reads for July were pretty intense, but I think that kind of goes along with the time. All right, Spirit, where are we going for Aries? We're starting out with the Hanged Man or the Hanged One, depending on how you want to say it, what deck it is. This one, it's the Hanged Man. So with this, look, the red, that root chakra, the blue, the throat chakra, and then this glowing halo around him, the crown chakra. Then we've got this violet. So that's what I said. I said root chakra, throat chakra, third eye, and crown. So this is about a perspective shift. It's also about balance, because you're not balanced if you're flipped upside down. We do even have a little bit of that solar plexus chakra represented in those yellow shoes. And with this, there is growth. There is growth, but it depends on how you're looking at it. All right, so where else are we going for Aries? That was just funny. I'm being called to look at the card a little bit more. So even what this person is tied to on the tree, it's a ribbon, it's not even a rope. So even with that perspective shift, I'm seeing like pink when she's up on the ropes, and the people that do the like ribbon dance or whatever it's called, not like where they twirl the thing, but when they're hanging from the ribbons, I can't remember what it's called. But kind of communication. I told you the communication was going to go off. Shifting that perspective. Are you really hanging from a tree? You're not hanging by a rope. You're not hanging onto a thread. You're actually being supported by that tie, by that ribbon, whatever you want to call it. Even when you look at his body language, he's got his arms behind his back. He's got his legs crossed. So it's about seeing it as you're not necessarily in this position where you're just suspended without any safety or without any cause. This is something where you can make your own choices. You can have that autonomy. So the next cards were the Three of Swords and the King of Pentacles. And I feel like part of the reason that that Hanged Man is coming out, and the reason that it may feel like a stuck point and there needs to be a shift, is because healing has to occur. There have been heartbreaks. There have been times where things that you wanted to work out didn't work out, and that's understandable. And sometimes it's hard for us to feel like we can heal from things. When I was looking at this, and I don't think I've read it this way before, but you know when somebody has a puncture wound and they say don't pull the object out, because if you just jerk it out, you may actually make it worse, or you may cause more bleeding, you may cut yourself, whatever it is, whatever it would be for you. So I feel like this is hard because it's recognizing that we can't just, this perspective shift, changing things and healing doesn't mean that we can just take whatever hurt us or whatever upset us and just pluck it out and throw it away. You can't do that. Healing means that we understand that we're still going to feel it. It's still going to be there, because you can't necessarily forget what happened. But at the same time, it's not letting it affect you to the point that you feel like you can't do anything, you can't move. And so I feel like with this King of Wands, the reason, did I call him the King of Pentacles earlier? I don't remember. With this King of Wands, I said we were going to get some wands and some fire energy. With this King of Wands, it's being able to be grounded. All of his robe is red, but there's also the heart chakra at the top. So being grounded and healing and allowing that heart that's been wounded and stabbed to not be suppressed because of the fear of having more emotional trauma and difficulty, those imprints that stick with us. But understanding that your heart is what helps you to lead. Your heart is what helps you to be able to grow. I was just looking at the shoes with the heart on the bottom too. Sometimes with the King of Wands, there is a stuck point. Like look at his hand and how his fist is just clenched. He may look very calm on the outside, but there's a lot of tension that he's holding in his body. And so when you are taking on these roles of being a leader or being somebody who, and it was 10:10 on the clock when I said that, someone who even is seen as not necessarily even an authority. That was the word coming to my mind, but that's not exactly what I meant. But being seen as somebody who is put together, maybe in this hanged man position, you don't feel very put together. And that's why we don't want those heartaches, because it's just too hard and then it adds on to the things that we have to do. But with this King of Wands, the heartaches and stuff are still there. That's why there's tension in this hand right here. But he's still sitting there. He's still working on that confidence. He's got the yellow there. We have the lizard down here. So there are some things that you may feel worried about. You feel like you don't know what they are. You feel like they're hidden, that they can just kind of creep up on you at any point. But the lizard can also be something that can be helpful. It's not just something that kind of slinks around. You know, the lizards, like snakes, shed their skin, and it feels like this is 11:22 on the clock, you being able to shed some of that past and move through it. Let's see what else we've got coming through. You know, we've got the lines that come in, even on this throne right here. I'm thinking of you in the card tarot, you've got a line on the King of Wands and the Queen of Wands. So that Leo energy, big heart, big loyal heart, big confidence, but we all get knocked down sometimes. 11:55 on the clock. The Eight of Pentacles, you're trying to work on it. You're trying to build what you want. But with this, I notice that the only green I see in this card is way back here. And that's in the home. So maybe you feel like you are only able to show your heart and to allow yourself to be vulnerable when it comes to matters of the heart when you're at home. But in any other setting, especially work, you feel like you have to put on this facade. You have to make sure that people see you as this person who doesn't get trapped. This is what I'm hearing. Doesn't get trapped. You don't fall through the trap door. You don't fall into a situation that you feel like makes you look incompetent, is the word coming through, because you're not incompetent. You are the leader. You are somebody who knows your own personal authority, your own ability to do things. But it feels like you're in overdrive right now, Aries, to prove that you're not in this stuck energy. This King of Swords, again, we're not looking at the heart with this one. And this is our communication and our thoughts. And it feels like the communication, that if I did do reversals, that this would be a reverse, that the communication is struggling because of feeling like you're on guard. Notice that with this King of Swords, the sword is up. The sword is there. Like you are walking toward and presenting that sword, that shield, that protection to people before you even get a chance to talk to them. It's not this more quiet, preparedness where the actual outside looks like maybe it's approachable. This is a do not approach me. Do not approach me. And if you do, know that I am going to use my discernment, which you should, but that somebody may try to approach you and immediately you're shutting them down. Now, in the Light Seers Tarot, the sword, let me get the King of Swords from this deck because I do love the imagery on it. I will try to not take too long, but I will describe what I'm trying to say. In the Light Seers Tarot, when it comes to the King of Swords, what I love about it is there's definitely protection there. There's insight. You can still be on guard and keep a lookout, but at the same time, just like the Queen of Swords, like here's the Queen of Swords in the Light Seers Tarot. Notice her sword, she has it. She can always turn it around, but it's not facing forward. So let's see if we can find the King of Swords without too much of a hassle here. But it feels like Spirit's calling you to, yes, understand that there are situations in which you may have to set those hardcore boundaries. You may have to defend yourself. And it's understandable when our heart has been hurt, especially multiple times, that we're going to want, oh yeah, I forgot about that. In the Light Seer's Tarot, even that Hanged Man is somebody who is on one of those satin ribbons hanging from that. But it's here we go, here's the King of Swords. It's understanding that you can be protected and you can have your boundaries, but you can also have an open mind, an open heart, and communicate those boundaries in a healthy way rather than shutting people down. So this is the King of Swords in the Light Seer's Tarot. And what I love about it is you do have this crow up here. That crow is always seeing everything. That crow is very intuitive, and that crow is observing patterns. Crows are very smart when it comes to that. If you watch them and how they interact and what they do when they sense danger, you see it. You also have this dragon over here. And dragons for me represent protection. So you've got the eye that's watching, the intuition, you've got the protection, and then down here at the bottom is an owl. So you've got the wisdom. And it's being confident that you have those things with you. So that then, instead of having your sword up at the ready to attack as necessary, he also has, I just saw this, I haven't seen this really much before, that closed fist, just like the King of Wands. And you've got two kings. So, I mean, you've got a very powerful energy. It's just trying to get it to a point where you're not in that guarded state so much. This is going to be leaning into, male or female, some of that divine feminine of allowing yourself to soften a little bit and to nurture yourself and to heal. But this is what I wanted to show you with the Light Seer's Tarot. The king, he has his sword. Again, it's pointed toward the back. So he can always pull it around and be ready when he needs to. But he's not letting himself sit there in all this tension and just feeling, well, it leads to overwhelm. It leads to hurt muscles. It leads to a lot of different things. He's allowing himself to relax a bit, whereas this King of Swords is not. So you may be putting in the work to not show fear, is what I'm hearing, 1717, when I said that. But at the same time, is it really helping you? Look at all the blue in this. Like, this King of Swords in the Rider-Waite deck is wearing blue, as is the Eight of Pentacles, gentlemen. And we've got the Hanged One. There's a lot of blue in this card. So throat chakra balance is important. With this King of Swords, we do have some of this sacral chakra represented. And I feel like that's not represented in any of the other cards. And it's partly being able to allow yourself to feel more in flow, to feel more creative, to feel more passionate about things. Because I feel like in this Hanged Man position and with all these hurts, part of this is feeling stuck, because if we feel like we're constantly having to be on guard, watch what we say, watch how we interact with others. If we're not allowing ourselves to let that guard down and be ourselves, if we feel like there's no situation that feels comfortable enough to do that, then you lose some of that joy. Even some of this right here, it's an orangish color, and then you got the yellow, so sacral and solar plexus chakras represented. So it feels like it's time to kind of open the doors a little bit, let that guard down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move forward from the tarot a little bit, and we're going to go to the Haunted Echoes Oracle. Now, this is one from Amazon. It does have some misprints in the words, but I do like how the messages come through. One of the things about card decks, I even have one that I just printed stuff off, and I use it sometimes. In fact, it's down here. Maybe we pull that out in a minute. But are those the cards I'm supposed to take? I'm going to set them to the side, and then I'll shuffle through a little bit more because they just kind of like collapsed out of the deck. What was I saying? Yeah, that you could even write stuff. I mean, there are people who do that. I've done that. You can even write stuff down on a piece of paper, and if you need the message, it's what comes through. All right, so what we did have actually fly out of the deck is Tangled Threads. Sort through the past to get clarity for your future. Weave new patterns. And that is what we've been talking about. I think there's a full moon here, letting go and releasing that past. Because if we don't deal with this Three of Swords, it impacts and affects every single aspect of our life. And then you maybe unintentionally, maybe intentionally, Because when you got that shield up, sometimes you're intentionally, or a sword, both, sometimes you're intentionally hurting others without meaning to. But when we're in that protective state, yeah, we're going to sometimes throw things back on others and they didn't even do anything to deserve it. Excuse me for a second. So sorting through the past to get that clarity, and that's definitely, like I said, right here with that Hanged Man and Three of Swords. Let me look at these and we'll just see. Yeah, I mean, it basically reiterates the story. So we have Weeping Stones, and this one looks a lot like letting go. Yeah, allow your heart to soften as you process your grief. Don't become bitter. And that's what we were talking about. Sometimes when we have been hurt so much and we've taken on so many difficulties, things that we didn't even want, things may have come at us, people we never thought would hurt us, and we harden ourselves. And so you sit there and you may look like you're open, but you've got your fist clenched, or you don't look like you're open at all. Like, look at his face even right here. The tension, the tightness, the try me. There we go. I heard it. Try me energy. Thank you, Spirit. So you have to allow your heart to soften as you process your grief. And that's what I talked about when I was talking about the King of Wands and the heart here. And I talked about the divine feminine energy and needing to soften a little bit, nurture yourself and heal those wounds. It's not easy to do. I say it as if it's something we can just sit down and do. It's easy to say, but actually doing it takes a lot of work and it's really hard. And even when you heal from things, it doesn't mean they're gone. That's why I say we can't just take these swords out and then our heart is just perfect. And even if you were to take the sword out, there's still some kind of scar or wound that may remain, even if it's not a physical wound. So it's not something you have to worry about, like with infection or whatever. It's an emotional wound. And even those emotional wounds can be healed. It doesn't mean they go away. Healing doesn't mean a one and done. It doesn't mean that it totally goes away. It just means that we learn how to live and use that pain in a way that we can move forward with a better understanding and finding more balance than just these two options that we feel like we may have. Seat of solace, taking time to be alone can renew your weary spirit, create sacred space. So with that, I immediately thought of the Eight of Pentacles, because this person's alone, but they're working. They're not paying attention to themselves, their needs, or anything else. They're just working. And we do need to work. We do need to do things that help us to pay the bills, whatever it is. Not that you need to work yourself into oblivion or exhaustion, 2255 when I said that. But at the same time, if all you're doing is working and guarding and working and guarding, you're losing yourself. And so we have to create a sacred space. And that space doesn't even have to be a literal space. It can even just be something that you do, something you enjoy that helps you to heal. And it could even be that you're speaking with a counselor, or 2222 when I said that, or no, I guess it was 23. I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it came up 2322, I believe. So whatever that means for you. But being able to work on healing through talking to other people, because I feel like, Aries, with this read, if this is for you, hopefully you self-selected by now whether you feel like this reading is for you or for not. I try to say, trust your intuition, use your discernment, understand these are general reads, and I don't remember if I said that at the beginning. Either way, if this is for you, you'll know that Spirit's saying it's time to heal. It's time to let yourself free yourself, is what I'm hearing. Free yourself. Find freedom through healing. I'm seeing the lotus flower behind me as I say that, remembering that you've gone through the mud. You've gone through this difficult, like I'm seeing the mud and just how thick it can be and how heavy it can be. And yet that little flower, well, they can be a little bit big, but still that fragile flower grows up and then it sits on top of the water or the mud, the muck, all those things. So the last card from the Haunted Echoes Oracle is Fortify Your Walls, not as barriers, but as safeguards. Yeah, these cards were definitely meant to come out. It's just reiterating the things that I said as I was reading the initial cards. So find safety and security, old haunts. So this is letting go of the old things that aren't even there anymore. but they're still causing some level of fear or insecurity, that you don't feel safe. And that's why that root chakra is really important, because that is just like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, our foundation. Safety, a sense of security, having your basic needs met. And so in order to do that, we have to feel that we can let some of that pressure off, that we don't always have to be holding up a sword or keeping our face, disgruntled is the only word coming into my mind, in such a way that we're unapproachable. But we also don't have to just sit there and look like we're approachable, but at the same time, internally, like this hand is showing that internally, he is not comfortable. He does not feel safe, and he is on guard. Even if he has his hand loosely around this wand, he's still ready. He's still ready to go and fight. And Spirit says you have to recognize that you don't always have to fight. You can still have this flame and it can still be balanced. And this is why the orca agate was so important versus the polychrome jasper, because this is about the duality, the paradoxical nature of us as humans, where there can be multiple things that are true at the same time. You can have healthy boundaries. You can say no, and you can still be somebody who's caring and who is capable and who takes care of things. It doesn't have to be just one or the other. So Spirit, where are we going with this? I feel like let's go to the light Priestess of Light deck and pull some cards just to see, Aries, what do you need to focus on in order to heal and to recognize the power that is within you without having to feel like you have to carry around the sword and shield with you? What's the message going forward, Spirit? We have some wanting to come out, but it's like they're being stubborn. And what I'm feeling like is, and I'm going to turn those over real quick. What I'm feeling like is this hope that's down here, like in my gut. It's like this hope because I want to change. I want to do differently. But then the other sense that I'm getting is that pulling back, that shield, that mask, that fear, because it's like, but what if it doesn't work? What if this happens again? So if I'm stuck, at least I'm not getting stabbed in the heart. But at the same time, that's not how it works. So cards did come out. We will look and see what those cards are, but I wanted to tell you kind of how it felt inside at first. And if you hear noises in the background, my husband just got home. All right, so let's see what the cards are. Yeah, so letting go of that guardedness, allowing that hope to come up a little bit more and get into the heart. It's in the solar plexus right now where there's a lot of anxiety, and so the hope is being pushed down. Bring it into the heart and allow yourself to truly hope. That's how we manifest. All right, so the cards we got, duality. That's exactly what I was telling you. 36, which breaks down to a 9. So, I mean, you're moving through this. And notice, I talked about throat chakra. We've got these blue flowers, and I think there's a blue flame up here. Yeah, I think I can see that in there. And again, she's wearing red, that grounding. She also has this white, which I typically see as being able to reopen and reconnect. It's not that you're blocked from it. You're not blocked, even in the hangman position. You're not blocked from connecting through that crown. It's just we are so focused. Where's that 8 of Pentacles? We're so focused on just getting the task done, doing the thing in front of us, and then trying to rest because we're guarding and protecting ourselves the whole time that we forget, or we don't have time, or we feel too tired to reconnect with our higher self, God, divine, whatever it is for you. So duality, many meanings and misunderstandings. Notice that she is in an area that's like a cave and she's isolated herself. Again, as I was talking about here, it's like you feel like you have to be alone. You're the only one that understands yourself. And she's writing some things down. She has the skull in her lap, which I always think of that as like connection to our past, also knowledge, ancestry, things like that. And so an exploration of what I'm hearing for you is an exploration of your history, your knowledge, what shaped the way that you think that created this situation where you feel like you have to hide or pull yourself back. But at the same time, you see how my face changed and went forward like this, that you're presenting in a way that it's like, don't try me, don't try to push me. And that candle, I've never really paid attention, but the wax has burnt down quite a bit. So understand that it's okay to take time with this. Just don't sit on it forever is what I'm hearing. All right, 10. And this is another reason that we probably got the orca agate. I understand that orcas are like whales, and we've got killer whales, and there's a dolphin in here, but there's a dolphin in here. So even water and sea creatures, we may think of that more, you know, I talked about the sacral chakra, so going with flow, being a bit more playful, especially with the dolphin, allowing yourself to soften, focus on your passions, that creativity, having a little bit more fun. This is sacred breath and sound, life force, communication, which communication is where we started out. But yes, all that blue, the communication, look at the face of this woman. She just knows that her power is there, and she's allowing herself to soften, but she still has the power. She still has the energy. She's just not using it in a way that she's blocking. Stay away or I'll use it. But she's allowing herself to live and just to be in the moment. And this dolphin is around her, and she's not necessarily being overly playful, but there's like this level of just mutual respect. I feel like this is reminding me, no, I know this is reminding me of, actually I've got a picture of him. I think it's right up here. One of my uncles, my Uncle Mike, he and my Aunt Neen, that's my Aunt Neen, have both passed. But my Uncle Mike said to me once when I was a teenager, because he realized that the way that I trusted people was that I trusted people until they gave me a reason not to. And he said, I don't trust people until they give me a reason to trust me. And I feel like that's kind of where this is coming from, is that in this, and he was a very nice man. I'm not saying anything out of hand here, but just to say that sometimes either one of those thoughts where we trust until somebody gives us a reason not to, because I can promise you that they would give me multiple reasons and I still wouldn't trust them, but I'd want to care about them, and I thought that I had to just pretend that I trusted them. I don't know. Anyway, why I'm telling you this, maybe this is something that you need to hear for yourself, but it's finding the balance that you don't have to just blindly trust others, but you don't have to be so guarded. You can allow yourself to know that you have the tools, you have the ability to take your power back or assert your authority or needs, wants, whatever it is, without having to push people away or immediately give that do not disturb. That you can just allow yourself to be a little bit more calm and comfortable and relaxed and enjoy yourself. 3311, when I said that, until and unless there's a reason that you need to put your guard up. So you still can be aware and observant, just like in this King of Swords from the Light Seers Tarot. You can still be aware, observant, have your protections and things like that, not be caught off guard, but not come from it from a thought 3333 on the clock of I have to be ready for attack at any moment. Because Aries, you deserve to live your life in a way that feels more comfortable for you. So if this message is for you, I hope that you do give yourself some space to be able to heal that heart and think about what it is that you want and how you can approach communication in whatever space it is for you, or multiple spaces. We had that duality, many meanings and misunderstandings, and find a way that you can cultivate those situations and relationships where you feel like you can let your guard down a little bit more and definitely allow yourself to enjoy things. I'm seeing right now like a pilot light, and somebody lights it and they go to turn it up, and all of a sudden they just kind of turn it up real quick and the flame shoots up. And so I feel like, and then now I'm seeing the anger character from Inside Out. So I feel like Aries, this is again just one final reminder from Spirit that you want to keep that pilot light going. That way you've still got the fire, you still got the energy, but at the same time, not turning it up too high, because that causes problems too. And it ends up causing problems for you, not just for others. All right, Aries, I hope that helped. Personal reads are available if you are interested. They definitely are more accurate to you because it's focused on just your energy, not the general collective or even the collective of a zodiac sign. I have live readings through Zoom. I also have recorded readings like this where I send you a private link. Also, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, comment. It helps the messages to go where they're needed. More people are able to hear the messages and also help to build this community. It's a growing community and I'm very grateful for that. And I hope that we continue to grow. You can always leave a comment, even if it's an emoji. You can even send me a fire emoji if you think I did a good job. But either way, I hope that this is helpful to you. And remember, it's not a race, it's one thing at a time. So Aries, take care of yourself. And until next time, whether that is the August videos or that is another video that you see me in or you book a session with me, I hope to see you again. Take care.